Hi, people of the earth. This is John Saltas reporting live from the basement headquarters of Bill Frost Universe. It really is quite a universe down here. I'm back from Greece feeling slightly better. Cannot walk still. If you listened last week or read my column in City Weekly, the private eye column, got a torn hamstring. Back from Greece after a month where, it's not all glorious, I guarantee you, because I came back hurt. And 2 times I came back hurt. I came back and had lost loved ones right away, so there's always that kind of stuff when you leave town. There was another disaster. In 2004, I left for Greece with the Yankees had a 3-game 0 lead over the Boston Red Sox that year, and it was late October. I didn't see a television for 2 weeks, and I came home wearing a Yankee hat, thinking I'm going to be at the World Series. And we went through New York, and some guy said, "You're pretty bold wearing that sumbitchin' hat." I go, "Why?" He said, "Well, the Yankees got swept." I was crestfallen. So it's not a big deal to go to out of town if you want just good things happening. Bad stuff happens too. And Ron, you're a baseball fan. This is peak baseball. Sorry, our teams are out. Sort of. You probably have another team, but
no, my team is in. The Brewers are in.
Whoops. Yep, I was going.
They beat your Cubs.
They beat the Cubs. Mine is painkiller, wishful thinking.
I understand. I mean, Matt, whatever drug you take to kind of get beyond that is fine by me. But it is peak baseball season, and I remember that. In fact, Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, who are playing my Brewers now, they beat the Brewers 2-1 last night in a 7-game National League Championship Series, was, in a sense, the spark plug that brought that comeback on. He stole second base. They sent him in to pinch run, and he was told, take the bag. Make sure you make it, but take the bag. He did. Red Sox rallied, Kevin Millar and Miller, the third baseman, and then Ortiz hit the grand slam home run.
These are all memories that I've put in the vault of never think of again. Thank you very much for pinching me.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
But I now, of course, and Dave Roberts, by the way, I mean, for baseball aficionados, he rehabbed for our Ogden Raptors, part owner, minority owner of that team. When he was in the big leagues, he came down when he was with the Dodgers, and he rehabbed in Ogden. Good guy. Everybody knows him as such. I hope my Brewers come back and win tonight. But, yeah, sports are big. And
well, you grew up in a sports town.
Yeah, I mean, Bingham was a great sports town. And we were talking about this and about Bingham being such a great sports town. And we've talked a little bit about it. We got to do one whole program dealing with that. And I came up with one memory that I had, which I won't share now, but I will share this one. When we worked on the gangs, and I forget what year it was between 68 and 75, because I went to law school and still worked at the gangs. But everybody had read about this great quarterback from Bingham.
Bruce Hardy.
Bruce Hardy. We were on the gangs, and Bingham played a preseason game. I can't remember who they played against, in the old football stadium behind the old high school in Copperton, which was such a classic setting. Yeah. And it was a great field. I mean, it was a great football
track,
field.
had baseball,
had the track
bleachers,
around it.
Lights.
I played on that baseball field a number of times. And I played sophomore football, and we played Bingham there, and I didn't get in the game, but I stood on the sidelines the whole game, freezing my ass off. But we decided, and it was you who said, well, let's just go to a game. Our gangs were working together. I think Brentel and Miller and a bunch of those guys were there. Maybe Louis Mary. No, I don't recall. But we stayed after the game. We were in our dirty clothes, went and had some beers down at the
Mooner.
At the Moonlight, and then got sufficiently lit up, and then we watched Hardy play, and I think his little brother Axel was on that team too. I think he might have been a sophomore or freshman.
That year would have been 74 or so.
Yeah,
73 or 74,
yeah.
And possible. Axel, I think, was 2 years younger than Bruce.
He was a good athlete too, but I mean,
he was a pitcher. He was a baseball player.
A left-handed pitcher, I think. Yeah, he was a good athlete, but Bruce Hardy was the real thing. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Really big-time Utah kid. I mean, he was a Valley kid, I think. I think he was from
West Jordan.
West Jordan, but good family, as far as I've been told. Good people, but I think back about that after we moved out of Bingham and how much I loved Bingham and Bingham sports. I was a little boy. My dad took us to football games there, and I remember going to the baseball diamond. I can't remember who we watched play there, but I was a little boy, and to me that was like going to Yankee Stadium. I mean, it was cool.
Well, Friday nights, we'd be in the valley, for example, at a relative or Arctic Circle or somewhere. You'd be in the valley and get dark. And back then, you could see entirely across the valley, and you could see the lights on in the Ochre Mountains for the football games. Occasionally baseball too, but football especially. And drive faster, get home. We got to see the game, and get up there and just in time. You multiply that by a million, you have Texas. But we still felt that. We had the Friday night lights, and us little kids would sneak through the fences and get up on the hill and not pay or whatever. And it was fun. Bruce, he made. Yeah, you're right. He made the cover of Sports Illustrated, one of the very few high school athletes to do that. And it was quite the legendary tale for a long time for everybody. I feel it was very much a moment of pride and all that. He tells that, he made All-State like baseball, basketball, and football.
Yeah.
Who knows how many times. In football, like his leading receiver was like a 5'3" Japanese kid named Joey Sato.
Joey Sato, yeah.
He's a great guy.
And was a great baseball coach.
He went on to coach 40 or 50 years at Bingham High School. He's in the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, I believe, and not just Bingham's. I mean, he really is a good guy.
I never met him, but again, I've been told that by a number of people.
Fabulous family.
Georgie Sluga talked highly of Sato, and another Hall of Famer in my mind, George is as a basketball coach and just as an all-around good guy and Bingham guy. But the thing is that Hardy was the recruiting at that time was so much different than it is now. Obviously, big schools came to Utah for certain players. Kid that played at Murray High School, he was a year ahead of me. Davies, I can't remember his first name. To me, it was Sergeant Davies because he became a cop. He went to Nebraska, and that was kind of a big deal because I played baseball against him.
Conkers
and the Conchars. Yeah,
he cracked my head. Well, actually, pretty tough little battle, but he definitely kicked my ass.
No, he's a Croatian kid, and their family is from Bingham.
Yeah,
they moved to Marin, but Hardy was just off the charts, and it was before social media and stuff like that. But it was a big deal about where he was going to go. Utah wanted him bad. They didn't have much of a chance, and BYU did. But
I don't think he may have spoken of BYU. I don't recall. He's 2 years younger than me. I knew Bruce ever since he was a young kid. I don't remember him talking about BYU. Definitely a little bit of Utah, so people would naturally thought he'd go there.
Yeah.
But he went to ASU and played for Frank Cush, whatever his name was. But, if he was playing today, they couldn't afford him.
No.
The NIL money couldn't afford Bruce Hardy right now. He made quite a bit of money in the NFL. He played 10 years or so. Whatever his standard contract was, he got a rookie contract.
Yeah.
It was a lot compared to us, but it wasn't the zillions.
Right.
Today, that kid comes out of high school, same circumstance, NIL.
Yeah.
Forget it. He owns Mars.
No, he does. I mean, the young man that was a quarterback at the U that got hurt, and I can't think of his name right now, he didn't play the last year he had. He had a $990,000 NIL deal. And
last year's quarterback?
No, it was the kid 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that he was good, then he got hurt, then he sat out, and then he came back for his fifth year.
Cam Rising,
and Rising got a lot of money. I don't begrudge that to him. I really don't, because coaches get a lot of money, and I guess we can talk about this. On Sunday, Penn State fired their coach Franklin. Franklin was a winning coach. The knock on him is he couldn't win the big game and got beat by Ohio State and other programs in the Big Ten. His buyout for being fired was $49 million. So he got $49 million for losing a game to Northwestern, effectively.
Yeah.
And
I think there's one, I looked at that, and I think there's one bigger than him.
I'm sure there is.
It's like
but what
$80 million or something like that.
What troubles me is that that's a state-supported school. And people, I've argued this with, or talked about it, and as well with people. Chris Hill and I talked about it one time, and I've talked to other people in the business about it. And they will say, but that money wouldn't go to the school anyway. You go, what? It would go to somebody, and maybe it would go to so the football programs particularly and basketball programs are getting all of this NIL slush fund money, and a lot of it is going to kids. Again, I don't mind that, although I can see that there would be problems in a locker room if the stars are getting a lot of money.
Some restrictions. Say you've signed up, you can't just walk away next year just because you didn't play and that kind of stuff.
But only if they did the same thing to a coach and said, okay, now that the bigger school wants you, then you can't walk away either.
They abused the student athlete for way too long.
$49 million. How many kids could go to college on $49 million?
And then the guy said was 80.
Yeah, and the other guy's
every little school.
And I don't understand it. My granddaughter's in graduate school, and her bill at the end of it will be around $50,000, and that is
1 year,
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, so that's a chunk of money, and that's a lot of debt that you got to carry with you. And she gets some help, but you just say there's something wrong. Again, when we want you so bad, we're going to have you sign a contract that if you not a winner and you failed the program, we're still give them a going away amount of money, but $49 million.
It's the way it goes. I don't like it, but that's 8,000 scholarships to law school.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, those are where our values are, right?
Right, I know, but our values shouldn't be there. I don't want to ever hear a coach say this ever again. It's all about the kids. Bullshit. It isn't all about the kids.
It's all about the family then, Ron. This is Utah.
But it's
all about the family
kids.
You hear
this from everybody. And I played college sports in a small college and loved it. And I was happy when we got steak when we were traveling. And I was cool with that, really was. But I don't get this. And as a result of that, I have season tickets to the U. I haven't used them for over 4 years because I don't have the interest I once did. It's pro sports.
Yeah. Well, what else we got?
Well, we got the Greek word of the day.
Okay, I'll give you 2 words, and I think one is appropriate. The other one is also appropriate. The first one is Irene. Irene means peace.
Okay. I-R.
Well, in Greek it's spelled different. E-I-R.
Okay.
It looks like a P.
Okay. E-N-I.
Yeah.
All right.
Irene.
Okay.
The
I like
word
that.
Irene means peace. Irene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Irene, good night.
Peace, good night.
Yeah.
And the other one is Vlakas. V-L-A-K-A-S. Vlakas.
Meaning?
Moron.
You kind
of get the connection.
I do get the connection, and so, but you know what? I was trying to think if I knew any Greek people named Lakas.
No, we don't do that. If you're a trader in Greece, that name disappears from history. If you're an idiot, we don't name children.
Oh,
idiot.
I know, but I was just
Lakas.
But you run through the names.
Might,
you run through. I was going Varanakas.
Yeah. Lakas. Moron, idiot, fool, imbecile.
Well, we have a president, would-be king, who wants everybody to think that he's a peacemaker. And I mean, I don't understand his need to receive the Nobel Peace Prize until I read Rick Riley's book. And he talks about how he had to win all of these club championships at all of his clubs. And then if somebody else beat him, he would make up other rules as they went along so he could be awarded these prizes that exist everywhere. And I mean, that is a sad commentary on your own self-worth if you need to beg people for prizes, if you need to beg people for recognition.
Well, it was the damnedest thing besides that because, everybody's saying, because now it's a chance, of course, to do what MAGA does, own the libs. So you liberals just cannot let this man have a victory. You hate him so much. He should get the Nobel Peace Prize now. And you would, even if he did, you'd hate him. If he cured cancer, you'd hate him. That's such bullshit. I'm so sick of MAGA saying that line.
Yeah.
That, we somehow everything results in hatred of Trump. It's derangement syndrome, they call it, right?
So, but you understand they're just mirroring what they do.
Well, exactly. What they are is, if I'm DJT, and I'm not, I've been recorded here everywhere, 1980, way before he was something. I thought he was a schmuck.
Yeah.
So this is nothing about everything he does and says,
So we have Yiddish words as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in his case, it's like what they are to me is like they have everybody but Trump derangement syndrome.
Right.
Because when people on the left or anybody condemns Trump, it's about Trump.
Right.
And when MAGA does, it's about you and me. And it's about people, and it's about everybody that Trump doesn't like. It's never one thing. It doesn't dawn on him that the guy may be a criminal. In fact, he has been criminally indicted and criminally charged.
And convicted.
And yet everybody else is worse in every case. And I'm just so sick of them saying, you hate America. I don't know how to put a bigger F you in front of those words. Stop it. That's, for me to have to listen to that all the time, and from people sometimes, I know, and I go, what are you saying that for? I don't get it. Why do you say that about me? You know me, you know my family, you know my history.
Because
it isn't even a part of my vernacular, and yet I have to endure that every day. Yeah. No wonder, I get a little rattled. I am right now because
you're entitled to but it's who they are. So
first off, there's supposedly peace in the Middle East, and there has been a ceasefire. When was the first one you saw in the Middle East? You're older than me, so you might have seen one.
No. I mean, Menachem Begin and Carter and what's his name?
They've been
Palestinian liberation leader. I mean,
that was Yasser Arafat.
Yasser Arafat. I mean, we've had them before.
It just keeps on doing the same thing, and it's never peace, Ron. You can get a ceasefire for all day long, but it's never been peace.
Well, as I was trying to say, Joe Biden had a ceasefire when he was president in the Middle East, and it lasted about the same amount of time as a Trumper's attention span, which is the same as a sandflea. I mean, it didn't last very long because nobody sits down with these folks and says, look, as a world, we don't want this anymore. So here's the deal. And this includes you, Russia, and China, and everybody, and Qatar, and Yemen, and everybody else. If we're going to have a ceasefire, here are the rules. Now, let's talk about whether we can agree on what the rules are. And now we're going to sign off on it, and we're going to have people that actually monitor. There's no monitors there. The UN isn't there monitoring who violates the ceasefire. This is one of Donald Trump's deals. And again,
it's a deal.
It's a deal, but it's mainly a deal that, as Samuel Goldwyn said, a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. There is no deal there because they've already started shooting at one another again.
Both sides.
Does that mean that we can't say to Donald Trump, okay, good effort, and I'll give him that.
Absolutely.
But you know what? There's something that my dad always told me. He says, what do you want? You want us to clap for you when you're doing your job? Go do your job. We'll decide how good of a job you do after it's done. But I'm not going to clap for you because you got a B, because you were going to school and you were sitting in class and you were a warm body.
We were talking baseball. Is the game over the first time a guy hits a home run?
No,
or
it isn't.
They have to play 9 innings.
They do. And that's the problem with what happens today. And the Democrats do it too, and everybody does. But nothing like Donald Trump does. Donald Trump thinks about what the deal would be and starts proclaiming that he already has had the deal done. That's not how it works. I don't brag about my legal career ever. I can brag about one thing. I got an A+ in contracts my freshman year in law school, and I got the Amjur Award for that. And that's, anybody that knows my business acumen is laughing about that. But I did love contracts because it was something where you could sit down and you could see, how do you write agreements that are ironclad that people will have to abide by? There's no abiding by this agreement yet. It's just like when we destroyed the ability of, when we bombed
USA bomb?
when We bombed. I can't think of the name of the country now.
Recently? Venezuelan boats? Or
No. We talked about it on this podcast. When we flew our jets around the world at Trump's request.
When we bombed the bomb that Iran we sent.
When we bombed Iran, sorry, Iran wouldn't come to me. I don't know. It's lost in some deep hole. But he claimed a major victory there too. As inarticulate as I am in spitting this out, he claimed a major victory too within a few hours. And we found out that, it probably isn't true. And then that story went away. And it went away because no more information was released about what damage was done to their nuclear program.
He said at the time that the nuclear program was decimated. It will never
Right.
Then why are we going back there again to do it? Because we didn't get it the first time, and then the bullshit story was we did.
That's my point, which if I had argued like that in court, I would have been back on the Hill within an hour.
This is from I'm having my own problems right now with Threads. I think it's full of bots right now, and I know it is. Much of them are just antagonistic bots. But here's something on there from. I'm going to read a couple of these if I can. It says Joe Biden had a peace deal in place, but then Netanyahu and Trump met in Mar-a-Lago and decided that keeping the war going would benefit them both. 10 months later, they're signing the exact deal that Biden brokered. All the people crying in the comments, I don't know what you're mad about. He did the same thing with the bipartisan border deal. It's evil as hell, and as Trump said, he's not going to heaven, but it worked, and he's president again. There's no attribution there. I don't know who he's quoting or anything, but it's kind of like this stuff keeps on happening over and over again. And it's this kind of commentary that just doesn't quite seize. We're still seeing it over and over. Here's another one. That was super nice of the Biden administration to write up the ceasefire deal for Trump to use when Netanyahu found it politically convenient, which is all true. Now, after 60,000 Palestinians died? Half of them children?
Right.
Then it's convenient. And whose weaponry was killing those kids? It was theirs. Did they build it? I'm not really sure that they have a manufacturing supply house. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the thing is I don't know how anybody can really. It's not politically convenient. It's just a matter of fact that this was done right at the time that the Nobel Peace Prize was going to be awarded. And Netanyahu gave that. That's what I think happened. And then Trump could argue it. But there's no real deal. And again, I didn't do a good job in trying to state this, but I'll do it again. The fact of the matter is a deal requires people to sit down and agree to it and abide by it. And there have to be sanctions for violating the deal. We don't know what the sanctions are. There are probably none. And the other people that are involved in this, and that includes China and Russia, and maybe some of the states in the Middle East, they're not part of the deal. They wanted the deal they wanted it done, but they're not part of a deal. There is no requirement that they participate in the peacekeeping. There's none of that. There are no specific.
It's effectively just a ceasefire.
There are no specific instances of what the actual agreement is. This is a handshake agreement to two guys who would do anything to get some credit for something. And that's Bibi Netanyahu and Trump, okay? That's all it's for. And if it goes bad, they're both going to blame everybody else, and they're not going to take any blame. And then there's no responsibility because there's nothing down where you can pin them down. This is what Donald Trump does all the time.
Yeah.
Anybody out there that listens to this, and I know that there are many that do that love Trump, if you sat down and tried to negotiate a deal with Trump, he would make all kinds of promises. This is true from his history. But he wouldn't sit down and give you the opportunity to then, if he broke the deal, easily make him pay for breaking the deal. It's not who he is.
Well, that's what I was saying a bit ago. I don't understand the love affair with the guy, but they do. I can quite easily, in my mind, separate my love of country from my love of Trump. And that doesn't seem to appear to be a possibility for some people. They put Trump first. Our own Attorney General, for example, Pam Bondi, is his private attorney, not the country's.
No, that's what America is about.
Supposed to be.
Well, but it is what we're about. Now, it may not be operational.
I think it's changing.
It may not be operational now, but the reality is I didn't vote for I didn't vote for Barack Obama for right or wrong. I voted him because I thought he had principles that I agreed with. I disagreed with many of the things that he did and was fairly willing to state that publicly to friends of mine who couldn't understand why I felt that way. But I don't vote for a politician because I would do anything for them. Quite the contrary. I held my wife's hand and put a ring on her finger, richer or poor, through sickness and in health, through good times and bad times, all that stuff. That's the only one of those things I've ever done other than raising my hand and swearing to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Utah when I became a lawyer. I believe that was very important, and I tried to do that. This guy doesn't swear allegiance to anybody, including the United States.
Which is why I get so upset when people bitch at me and people like me, and it happens every freaking day, about what is wrong with me that I don't fall in line and follow this bullshit, Bill, because we've been through that too. What he represents in the bigger. I'm not going to be that person. If he does something well, okay. Let's all clap or do whatever we need to do and move on from the middle. Not move on. Something's got to continue to make it happen in a real way there. But I don't think all the brouhaha of what he did last week, it amounts to a whole hell of a lot. I mean, Nixon did it to Johnson. There was a peace plan in place when you and I were young enough to be in the Vietnam War. Reagan did it to Carter.
Yeah.
Netanyahu now does it with Nixon. This is just an old pattern. The names change. Did I say what I said?
Nixon.
I said Nixon. Oh, I got Nixon on the brain. Sorry about that. But no, Netanyahu with Trump. They withheld the credit going for Biden. Biden, he had tons of flaws, but he probably wasn't the criminal family they want to make him out to be. He wasn't all of those bullshit things. He's a decent person. Even he came out and said nice things about that Trump himself cannot say about his own peace plan. Biden spoke for America better than Trump did, because Trump in his speech of saying, hey, we did a great thing, also somehow weaved in, hey, she's got a nice ass, to the Italian
did
whatever.
He really?
Oh, to somebody. Oh, she's sure cute. You're sure a beautiful woman. But what'd you put that kind of stuff in there for? He didn't say it in the words I just used, but that's the vernacular
of it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand. We go back to our parents. I can, if my mother, can I tell a story about my mother?
Well, why not?
Well, okay. But this is something that I know to be true because she told me. When Trump ran the first time, my mom obviously still alive, and at Lent, have I told this story? I don't think I have.
I don't believe
at
so.
Lent, she went to confession. What happens a lot of times is they will bring a number of priests into a parish so everybody can get to confession during Lent, so they go to communion. And my mom told me this story, and I've told it to other people, so I'll tell it. So my mom goes to confession, and I know the priest that she went to see, a really good guy. And she says to him, like she does, tells her sins. It's like doing confession for nuns. It's like throwing spitballs, I did this and I did that. Yeah. But there's one other thing, Father, and she told me this. She said, I told him I hated Trump. I just hated him, and I can't stop hating him.
So what they say is true.
But anyway, so she said, and I know it's a sin. I know we're not supposed to hate people, but I hate him. I hate everything he stands for. I hate the fact that my husband and our generation fought for all these things, and this guy doesn't care about any of them, and he's destroying the country that my parents came, and my husband's parents came into, and he's destroying what we believe in. And so the priest said to her, well, Irma, you're right. You're not supposed to hate. So I want you to try this. I want you to try whether or not you can just pray for his conversion. Try that. Pray for his conversion. And she said, okay, I will. And he said, well, then I'm going to give you your penance. And she said, but I got to be honest with you because I know I'm in confession. I know. I still am going to hate him. And he said, now look, I want to tell you.
Right.
Yeah, okay, but here's the deal. You've got to try. She said, I'll try. That was my mother. That was a long time ago. There are many of us, and myself included, I took the knowledge I learned from that to say, I'm going to try not to hate him, and I am going to pray for his conversion, and I do that.
I don't hate him. Frankly, I don't never have hated him. I just thought, this is stupid.
Well,
That's all I ever put on.
It's hard for me not to hate a man who, as the New York Times says, his administration is pushing all the top black officials out of our government. It's hard for me not to hate that.
Gotcha.
It's hard for me, and I went to the Mexican League baseball games. The Bees bring them in every year now. It's great. Mexican baseball is good. The baseball's good, but they have a good time. I mean, it's a good time. And I went there with two good friends of mine, Evan Parker and Alex Ramos, and Alex brought his two kids. And so...
They take their papers with them?
Well, I'm going to get to that because the fact of the matter is, in a sense, it's a punchline, but in a sense, it's not. Alex, because he's fearful, he's an American citizen, and his kids are American citizens, and his wife is an American citizen. He feels the need to keep his passport with him so that if he's stopped by ICE, he won't be separated from his kids, and his kids won't be taken into custody. Now, I want time out here, folks, particularly you Trumpers. I want you to think about this. This guy's a great guy. He's a hardworking guy. His family is hardworking. He's an American citizen, and he has the fear of driving around in the United States so that he might have to prove if he got pulled over
by ICE, is that
by ICE or by the authorities? Because in a lot of places, the authorities are cooperating with ICE.
Did we not learn that ICE was only going to go after the hardened criminals and the drug dealers?
Yeah, but
did they or did they not?
Yeah, I know.
That was a cell card. I'm being a little bit.
You're being sarcastic, but
because it's true. They didn't.
They didn't, and they're not. And so
it was never the intent.
Just as you were pissed off about something, I'm pissed off about that. This is a guy I consider a true brother. He's a great lawyer. He's a great man. He's worried as an American citizen that these guys in masks will come out and they'll separate him and his family. Now, those of you who believe that Trump is so great, that's what he's done. They're not going after the hardened criminals. They may catch some of them. They're just stopping people and hassling them because they have a Hispanic surname or they look a particular way. And the fact of the matter is that literally breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that my mother, before she died, was worried about what this guy was doing to our country. It breaks my heart because she worried about that, and a lot of people do. And it breaks my heart to know that somebody like Alex and so many others feel that they have to carry their papers with them so they won't be arrested by a group of people sent to certain states. Now, we're in a red state, so maybe that's why they didn't show up at that baseball game. But I'll tell you what, if they play in any of the blue states, then ICE will probably be there.
You know who else didn't show up at that baseball game?
Who?
MAGA.
No.
They're not going to show up and be seen in that crowd. And then secondary to that, let's just say something did happen. What would Ron Yengich do? Now you're in a shithole.
Well, but that was part of the point that I began to say. When we decided to go, I didn't say this to Alex or Evan. I began to think about what I do if I shows up and whether or not where I'm at. And I decided what I would do if it happened. And I decided that I was prepared to get arrested. I was ready to be arrested. I still have my bar card. I have a right to give advice. If they told me not to give advice, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves, and I would give advice, and then I'd get arrested. Now, that sounds like I'm being a tough guy. It isn't. It's just that I went through what I would do if that happens, and I was worried about my friend and his kids and anybody else was there. Think about that. This is America. This isn't Birkenwald in 1930. This is the United States of America.
In 1943, Nazis, not all Germans, don't get the two confused, were still pulling people randomly out of their homes, citizens of the northern Scandinavian countries, citizens of Greece, randomly just going to homes and pulling them away, right? To the tune where it finally up in the millions. That was happening then. This didn't happen. Been happening for years. So all these little cases are adding up, and we can't just think that it's not going to it's going to go away, or that it's the new normal. This is that whole words matter kind of things. And I said I'm sick of it up to here of these guys and their hate. They want some hate speech. Here's some hate speech. This guy's a congressman named Emmer. And he's been loud-mouthing, pretty bad.
I know who he is.
So we're talking about the No Kings rallies that are going to apparently be quite huge this weekend. We call it the Hate America Rally because you'll see the hate for America all over this thing when they show up. The rumor is, what fucking rumor? The rumor is that they can't end this shutdown because this small but very violent and vocal group is the only one that's happy about this. You have people in Congress sworn to the same Constitution that you just now proudly and declaratively defended, holding your hand over, making that kind of statement about their fellow Americans. And this sells in America now. And he's not alone. That Johnson guy in Louisiana who was, he put into the House speakership when Trump was at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump was basically the de facto Speaker of the House until he got reelected as president. So he's doing the same thing. We hate America. People that aren't on their side, hate America. I'm so up to it with that.
I am too. And you know what? I've got my shirt I'm wearing for that rally. I'll be at the King's rally, anti-King's rally at the Capitol on Saturday. It starts at 11 o'clock. It's at Capitol Hill. I'll be there. I'm wearing a green shirt, and it says, "Love America, hate Trump." And that's how I feel about it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know I'm not supposed to hate. And those of you who know, a few of you are, I will go to confession and indicate that I feel that way and try to get some counsel from my priest. Because it behooves all of us to say, anybody that continues to do the things that he does in this country and the people that support him blindly don't understand that there are people out there in pain because of him and what he has done. And what he is doing isn't making America a great again. He's making America a laughingstock. And we're a laughingstock around the world. And there are lots of people who are afraid. If you have to stay elected by scaring people, that's not democracy. If you have to keep your support by threatening people, that's not democracy. If you have to continue to up the ante on what you're doing to be visible and to show what you believe to be power, to scare people, and that your supporters are going to go out and scare people if they don't track your line, that's not America, and it's not democracy.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what fills up my feeds, and I hit the delete and block button all day long. People telling me, why do I hate? Why don't I support Trump? Why don't you give him credit? God almighty. Enough. So, wanted to ask you something, Ron. Let me just see if I can find this little image here.
By the way, as you're looking for that, I didn't know what a bot was until about a year ago.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, that's all right. So I'm probably not going to find... this was a funny one. You know what memes are then, right?
Yeah, I do.
So memes are all over the place. Here's one that was across today.
Those are those little yellow guys in the cartoon, right?
No. Those are the Minions.
Minions, okay.
Oh, here's one. This is another seemingly trend. MAGA youth pastor and CPAC performer Zachary Radcliffe has been charged with 30 additional child sexual abuse charges. These things are filling up the feeds now, too. All of the guys are CPAC and Young Republicans. Did you see the Young Republicans today, what they did? They were, there was somebody discovered, they got into their text messages. These are really fun. A bunch of people. This is the new generation of Republicans coming up, texting to each other such things as, by the way, the right doesn't like to be said that they're the new Hitler. They don't want to call Trump Hitler. I'm not. I never have. Fascist, yeah. They want to say they're putting stuff. I'm ready to watch people burn now. Great. I love Hitler. These are text messages between leadership people of the Young Republicans groups that like the New Jersey chapter and the New York chapter, the Kansas chapter. Everyone who votes is going to go to everybody who votes no is going to the gas chamber. Who are these people that speak like this stuff is just child's play? And it's not me. It's not me and you, and it's not the people I grew up with. It's not the people I sit next to in church. Who are these people that are so adamantly willing to go ahead and say that without repercussion? I mean, there should be some pushback from people who are adult leadership of the Republican Party or of some moral standing that say, "Hey, you're not with us. We're not going to protect you." But they do.
I don't know. I have no answer to that. I really don't. I mean, it's well known that I don't do social media. Bill laughed at me the other day. I still have Twitter because it came with my phone, and now it's called Z. And I follow one person apparently because I looked him up one time, and that's Christian Yengich, who once had an account there and doesn't anymore. And I can't get it off of my iPhone. And that's the honest to God truth. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the idea that there are people who can just say whatever they want without thought and then post it, and then somebody else will like what they say and they'll add to it, and it just becomes an accumulation of internet shit, and there's no place to flush it.
Well, that's what's happening, though, is that the accumulation is turning into what some people view as kings, and what other people view as fascism. So you have like a no kings rally. It's pretty simple what the rally is. No kings. We don't want kings here, which is what we fought for in late 1700s, the War of Independence, to move away from a monarchy. That's simple. It has nothing to do with hating America. And it's we don't want, most citizens don't want, the founding fathers didn't want a monarchy. Didn't want to answer to King George.
No, they didn't.
So why turn an event like that, say we simply don't want, which is our right to protest and to gather, turn it into something that it's not? And those people that are doing that will cause mayhem to occur. They simply will. There are going to be some people out there that are going to take verbal and or literal shots at people, and it's getting worse and worse and worse.
I think that. I think, and I should tone it down a little bit too. But on the other hand, I like you. I mean, I'm just fed up with the idea. I went off on Cardinal Dolan last week. We're all human beings, and we all make mistakes, and we all have fears, and we all have misunderstandings. But the hat I'm going to wear to the rally. I bought this online and got it yesterday. Make lying wrong again. Let's start there.
I like that.
Let's start there. I don't care what party you're from. I don't care what religion or none or whatever you are. How about this? How about it's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to just lie about everything. It isn't okay to, as you just said, it isn't okay to say these people hate America. That's not true. It isn't true. The protesters during the Vietnam War, those of us who protested, we didn't hate America. We hated where America had taken us based upon a lie, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. And if you buy into the lie and you don't reflect on it, then I bought into the lie that Kamala Harris was really close to being elected and they needed our money and all kinds of other stuff. That was a lie perpetrated by the Democratic Party and the leadership of the Democratic Party. And I bought into the lie that Joe Biden was really okay when my observations said otherwise because I wanted to. But I got over those two lies fairly quickly. So people lie to you and you find out they're lying, then it's time for you to sit back and think about it. I'm not telling anybody to agree with me. I'm asking people, sit back and think about what you're seeing and say to yourself, can I believe this? And can I believe what I'm being told now when I go back over the history and there is such an amalgam of this stuff? That's all I'm asking. Believe in what you want. Well, just like the priest told my mother, you're not supposed to hate, and I know I'm not supposed to hate. But I also know this, if you keep lying to me, if you keep doing things like making my friend feel like as an American citizen he's got to keep his passport with him, then yeah, it's going to be hard for me to like you, and the opposite of like is hate. So how about this? How about you tone it down for a while, and then maybe I can feel a little bit better that we're going back to a real democracy where we're arguing about issues, and you call Congress back into session because you're the one holding it up, and then maybe we can see where the voters want us to go. How about that? How about maybe with your last word, maybe we can end on that.
Well, there are a bunch of people who I think it was I saw a headline. It was pretty funny and clever, I thought. And it said, describing MAGA, and the headline is, "We are not fascists, and if you call us fascists, we will arrest you." Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah, right? So it's like you can't really have a discussion, is what that headline says, is because it is not even about fascism at that point. It's not even, it's about like, you're in, all in, and you're not changing, and something drastic has to happen to make it change. All
right, full stop at that.
Yeah.
That ends this session, because that's our idea. Those of you who've never listened to, that's our idea. Full stop.
Well, there's one other thing.
Have you noticed that he's incapable?
He's incapable. Well, because this was funny too. I saw today, MAGA, make Argentina great again.
Great again. Yeah, there you go. Well,
say thank you, soybean farmers, $20 billion, and let's
try to tone down the talk of violence and arresting people in America. Let's try to talk. We can argue out loud and we can even get irritated, but let's stop the violence and the fear that comes in this country when we just decide that we're going to make people the enemy. They're our fellow citizens in large part.
We can't fight each other. I'm not willing to.
Amen.
Okay.
Peace and love, everybody, and be safe.